G'day guys. I picked up this old 6-metre fiberglass boat a few years ago. It had been sitting out in the weather for a decade and it was in quite a bad state. It was half full of rainwater and the stringers and floor had gone rotten. The bottom of the hull actually had a curve in it because all the structural timbers were soft. I could see it was going to be a big job and it was really more trouble than it was worth to fix. But it belonged to my uncle who had passed away and had sentimental value, so I decided to fix it up. On the upside it does have a fairly solid transom and a decent 4-stroke outboard on the back, so I figured that made it worthwhile. Once I sort of had it all fixed up, it should be a decent boat. So I pulled the floor up and gave it a good water blast. I straightened the hull by screwing beams to the underside and propped up the rear end on blocks. I ripped out all the stringers, which were not very well made in the first place. You can see here they were joined in the centre and I had voids, air voids under the stringers, so I guess that contributed to the rot. So I made new stringers from full lengths of dry heart elm, encapsulated with epoxy and fiberglassed them in place, ground out and reglassed any weakened areas, strengthened the parts of the hull above the trailer rollers, filled all the voids with polystyrene for flotation, installed new encapsulated plywood floor, covered it all with glass and laid down some marine carpet. So I spent a good couple of 100 hours working on it. It is still pretty ugly and could do with a lot of cosmetic work and painting, but it is very strong and seaworthy now. So I turned my attention to the trailer and noticed it has some badly rusted sections. It really needs stripping down and rust proofing. So I lost interest in it for a while. I sort of got sick of the sight of it. But I'm back into it now and I'm going to restore that trailer and get the boat back on the water. So the first job is to get the hull off the trailer. I'll just chain up the hull to the tree and pull the trailer out from under it and rest the hull on tyres. So a lot of people ask me why I keep so many old tyres lying around. It's for this very reason, just in case I have to pull a boat off a trailer. So let's get started. Alright, put that onto there. Now I don't want the chain scratching the hull, so I'll just put some rags under it and that should stop any damage. That's pretty stable on those tyres, and it's at a nice height so I can just winch it back on again when I'm ready. So that's how you get a boat off a trailer, just stick it on tyres. Now I can assess that trailer and see if it's worth saving. You can see when I jump on it, that whole corner lifts up, so that wouldn't have held on for too much longer, I don't think. It's just totally rusted out there in that corner, so I'd have to replace that whole section there, replace that plate. And being in salt water all its life, it's quite hard on even galvanised steel, so I'll get another piece of that and replace that. It's supposed to be a tilt trailer, but it's been welded there too, so I will reinstate the tipping part of it. Oh, see that? That's not good. Yeah. The first thing to do is cut this section of rust out, and I'll use this piece of angle iron to fill the gap. Cut like a V out of there so I can bend it to the right shape, and then just weld that straight in there. Right, so I'll just put some pressure on that and bend it to close up that V. Should do it. That's a nice snug fit in there. So I'll just give that a good clean up, grind it back, grind all the paint off it and weld it in place. I'll have to drill a hole and knock a bolt in there as well. So I'll take everything off this old rusty drawbar. I'll have to cut a few welds there. It's welded down there, and I'll have to take this jockey wheel mount off, which is welded there. And I'll just unbolt this this winch frame, mount it all on the new drawbar. So those front rollers I had to cut because just too far gone. They hadn't used stainless rods, so the inside of them had rusted and bound up on the roller, and it's been rolling on the frame, so it's sort of worn that end out. So those front ones I'll have to replace, but the rear ones, they came off okay because they had stainless shafts, so they fared a bit better. So I'll go through now, I can get all this rust off and paint it. I'll go right around, get what I can with the trailer up this way, and then I'll flip it over, take the wheels off and do the underside. That's still pretty solid in there, so I won't worry about replacing that side. You can still see there's plenty of thickness in that steel. So I'll just paint some rust converter on there and re-brace it, and that should be good for another 20 years, I think. So I've just used the flapper disc with the angle grinder and got rid of the worst of the rust. There's a little bit of pitting, as you can see, but I'll use a rust converter on there and that'll neutralise it, and then I can paint over it. But first of all, I'll just give it a water blast to get rid of any lingering salt residue and dust. So use a rust converter now, and that'll neutralise any rust, and it works as a primer as well, so we can paint over top of it. Alright, that's the top side done, and that's hardened off nicely. So I'll just flip it over now and do the bottom side. And look at the state of that. That's what salt water does to steel. Oh well, that's the frame coated, no more rust. Now I've just got to do the axle set. That wouldn't have lasted too much longer. I've never seen a nut that bad. So I've got that all stripped down now. It looks like it's all salvageable. There's a bit of scale, but that'll come off alright, and once I get some rust killer on there, it'll be fine. Those mudguards were actually quite rusty. I ended up having to get the big angle grinder out with the grinding disc on it. That was the quickest way to do it. Check this out. This is why you always should wear a decent filter when doing this sort of thing. Look at the state of these pre-filters. They were white when they went in, so you don't want that stuff in your lungs. It's always a good idea to wear a decent mask doing this sort of thing. Alright, that's all bolted together. New stainless steel bolts all round. So I'll just go around now and give them a coat of zinc rich paint, and that will make them last a bit longer, seal everything up in there, because it will be used in salt water, so everything is prone to rust. So if I can seal them up with paint, they should last a lot longer, I think. And also having a bit of paint on the threads, it sort of locks the nuts on there. They're less likely to loosen off by themselves. So I'll just go around and paint all the nuts and bolts, and that's pretty much ready to flip over.
Like that boat.
Yep.
I'm not.
What do you reckon, mate? That was easy, eh?
Yeah.
It's like a brand new trailer now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Should we take it out on the water?
Yeah.
Yep. Go catch some fish?
Yeah.
Good idea, buddy. Oh, it's so smooth and quiet. Going well. Steering wheel's a bit rickety. I'm going to have to pull that apart and epoxy it all together, I think. But, everything's working okay. Big one. Mussel harvester. Full of mussels. Pretty good, buddy. Good fun. Let's catch a fish.
Yeah.
Oh, we've got one. It's a snapper.
Yeah, that's all.
Beauty, bring it in.
A little one, nice.
Nice one, Mum.
Alright. Oh, look. Oh, got two.
Whoa.
Oh.
Reel it in. What is that?
Wind them up. Oh, okay, you'll have to grab them.
Good work, buddy. Your first fish.
Yeah, then.
Do you want to kiss it?
No.
Oh, okay. We'll let him go. He's just a baby. Good work, man. High five. First fish ever. Yeah, we'll get a bigger one next time.
Yeah. Let's get a bigger one.
What is that? Oh, there's two. Oh, nice. Woohoo.
Look at that. That one's not small, but that's a keeper.
Oh, yay.
Oh.
Nice.
Snapper.
Yeah. Oh. There's one.
Yes. That'll be 33.
Right.
Yep. Awesome. Nice one. Oh well, we've caught our bag limit. They're all well over the minimum size, so there's a few good feeds there. It's pumping today, eh? We've seen a few good kingfish running around, but we'll get a feed of mussels and we'll head home.